Hey there, and welcome to the DDS podcast. I'm Robert Scrobe. On today's episode, we're talking to someone that refers to himself as Juggernaut. Yes, it is named not only after an X-Men character, but also the way he pronounces his own name. He's a developer, Scrum Master, team lead, technical agile coach, Scrum drawing, game creator, design sprint facilitator, hailing out of Taiwan. He's very active in the presentation circles with showcasing what he knows about Scrum and Agile. He's a speaker at a lot of conferences. He's a workshop facilitator. I can go on, but he's very much into presenting about design sprints and Scrum and Agile. He's a senior engineer lead over at Trend Micro as well. He's been there for just under 2 years out of Taipei City. And we had an in-depth conversation on his work in Agile, Scrum, presenting, and design sprints. A whole bunch of different topics. Hope you enjoy the show.
So it's the opportunity, always in my, right now, our product is a little difficult to do this. But if I have a chance to facilitate others team, others product, this year in June, I fly to the Philippines to facilitate the team there, because at that time they want to build a brand new product. So it's the chance to use a design sprint to help them to design what kind of product they could do.
If we were talking this time in 2019, in terms of where you're going to take things, where would you like to be officially? What would you like to be doing with the design sprint process?
Okay, first, in design sprint, I expect myself to do more design sprint practice in 2019. I need to practice to let me be familiar with design sprint and know how to do and how to run it smoothly. And I expect I can use it in my own product. I look forward to doing it.
You were part of the event that we did in November where you were part of an extended group for doing a virtual design sprint. If you plan on getting involved again, what would you like to be doing?
I would like to do the design sprint to discover the product. And right now, I also think about another ideas about the design sprint consultant. Previously, I asked some company and I found they don't want to learn the design sprint. I remember I have shared this idea to you in November. I forgot. I found that they don't need to learn design sprint. What they want to do, what they need is they want someone or some company to help them to think about what to do, what kind of product they need to implement or develop. So if I could be the design sprint consultant, I help them to. The design sprint process is a little long, 4 days or 5 days in a week, right? But most of company cannot accept they let their employees to take this very long time to join the design sprint. So how about they just join in just first 2 days, like Monday and Tuesday? So we host a 2 days workshop to collect their ideas. And in the third day, our design sprint consultant company, we build a prototype for them, and we find a real customer to verify this idea for them. And on Friday, we have a report for this company.
Yeah, it's very similar to getting your sink fixed or getting something in your house fixed. You really don't want to understand the process of how it's going to be fixed. You just want the water to work, or you want the toilets to work, or you want the heat to come on when you want it to come on.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with process with people who are only concerned about, or they're not only, but I would say they're looking at different numbers. They're looking at revenue and quarterly numbers. They're looking at market-related metrics.
Yes.
They are looking at the outcomes more so than the process. They just look to you to solve the problems that they're wanting to get solved. I think you were on the right track earlier when we had the conversation about you optimizing the virtual design sprint that you had been part of, saying that a lot, you made the statement that a lot of what was being done at certain times could actually be done offline, and that the online work together could actually be minimized even more. So really, you're putting the responsibility of the practitioner to get the work done, and it really comes down to how you execute, what kind of outputs you're going to create.
Yeah.
Do you see the beginnings of, say, like iterations, Scrum iterations, at least touching upon some aspect of what the design sprint produces? Or do you see them as distinctly two different processes?
It's two different process, but I think design sprint if it is for the product discovery is a little heavy. I think but it's not heavier than the design thinking. Design thinking is also a very heavy way to discover the product. So I think design sprint we can do it. We discover the product all the time, not just for the once, or two, or twice, or three times. But design sprint, it tests people or members for 4 days, right? So it's a little heavy. We cannot do this all the time. In my opinion, it's just before the sprint. We have we do the once or twice design sprint, and we can decide the draft ideas at the beginning. And then we enter to the product delivery process like a Scrum. But during the sprints, like sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, we can also do another design sprint to verify or think about another ideas based on the previous ideas, but not all the time or in every sprint.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, like a UX process is like we call in Agile we call the dual track process. Usually in UX, their output, for example, the US result in the first sprint, and in the second sprint, the developer team will implement or develop the result from the first sprint, from the UX result. Yeah, so
So,
we call dual track process. What I mean, design sprint is a little heavy. It's true. So actually, in our product discovery process, I use impact mapping or user story mapping. It's a very lighter than the design sprint, because I can do this for 2 or 3 people, the key persons, key people. We just take 2 hours or 3 hours to discover the product or think about another ideas.
are there other people in Trend Micro like yourself that are practicing design sprints?
Yeah, another people, my colleague. We are two of we have two of design sprint experts in Taiwan.
That's it.
He also owned he also registered the AJ Smart class.
So it's just the two of you in all of Taiwan that know design sprints.
No, not just two, but we are two of them.
Got it. Got it.
But he is I can recommend you interview him, but I don't know his idea. But he owned the community, Design Sprint Taiwan community.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would enjoy a conversation with him. It would
Yeah,
just be
actually, I just interviewed him, in our virtual design sprint. He's one of my our customers. His name is David Cole.
okay. For your workshops that you hold, the ones that you do presentations at, how many people tend to come to those?
In my workshop, usually 20 to 30 people.
So you're used to larger crowds and being able to work those. Were you always comfortable with larger crowds, or did it start small and kind of grow as you did more of those workshops?
I am okay for this kind of people. But if more than 30, uh, if people are more than 30, is a little, little big. I'm comfortable for between 20 to 30.
How do you normally let people know what you're up to? How do you advertise your workshops, or how do you
Uh,
how do you broadcast what kinds of activities you're doing?
in Facebook, the community or group,
So what are the names of those Facebook groups?
Scrum community in Taiwan and Agile community.tw.
And your friend is the one that's doing the design sprint community.
Design Sprint Taiwan.
Got it. Okay.
Mhm.
Where do you see the design sprint process going? If you were to take out a Juggernaut's crystal ball and look into it and see where this process is headed, what do you think?
I think all process is reasonable for one. I think like in long-term goal and set the sprint questions. Actually, right now I'm a little not familiar with this process. So I also think about if I could use another way to replace the long-term goal or the sprint questions.
Hmm.
Yeah. For example, actually I think about I could use the impact mapping.
So really your Monday is an extended conversation that happens with multiple people. And
Mm-hmm.
really Monday is kind of a summary of what everyone has said, so that everyone's on the same page in the first couple of hours, and then
Mm-hmm.
you can move forward with a shared understanding. But
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
think contrary to how the design sprint process is promoted, where you can just get everyone in a room and talk, I think that probably works for startups. But in larger organizations, or even people that are strapped for time, that don't have a lot of time,
Yes, yes, yes.
I I think having those conversations a week or 2 weeks in advance is crucial to set up that intense week of activity for success. If you go into it blind, you'll spend a lot of time trying to get everyone on the same page and synced up. You really have to have those conversations ahead of time.
Yeah, that's true. In the big organizations, I think they are not in the one. In my language, I always say, not like startup company. In the big organization, it's
Yeah.
not their business. They are not in the same boat.
So are you ever going to run your own company in the future? Do you see yourself being a business owner or starting up your own agency or anything like that?
Yes, yes, I think about it, and I also very interested in start company.
Okay, so if you did start a company that, like in 2019, hypothetically, what would you be doing?
I think about the Agile software.
Okay,
I think like a Jira. Do you know Jira?
yeah, I do.
Jira. Yeah. I think about if I could develop the agile tool, it's help me to coach my customers. So I can use my own product, my own tool to help them being agile.
You know, what would be an interesting design sprint challenge is to rethink the current agile process so that you're actually optimizing it for newer processes or newer approaches to doing things. You can take inspiration from companies like Basecamp that have their own 6-week process for getting software done that's different from agile. Maybe you could think about doing a modification on the Kanban system where you limit certain things to a work in progress and essentially try to optimize that. So that may be an interesting kind of approach to it. But
I always do it.
yeah,
I always do it. I mix, like a design sprint concept and like a how my we questions. I think it's just the sample. I I use how my we question to the retrospective process. I think I'm good at mixing this kind of process or tool to help me to solve some problems.
do
Mhm.
you ever write about what you do, or or broadcast what you create, or some of the things you think about in terms of process?
I usually write the article in my blog. I call it Scrum Song. Yeah.
Oh no, that's
like
fine. Whatever you want to name it is perfectly fine with
yeah,
me. So
yeah,
you keep fairly active on your blog and writing about what you do.
yeah.
tell me a little bit about your name, because my understanding of the word juggernaut is somebody that's unstoppable. But I know that you have a given Chinese name, but why did you choose Juggernaut? What's the origin of that?
For the first, because it sounds like my Chinese name. My
Oh,
Chinese name is Zhao Gong Liu. So Zhao Gong sounds like Juggernaut.
oh, I see. So it was an English. It was like kind of like an English interpretation of the way that your traditional name is said.
Yeah, and second, I choose this name because I very long time ago I watched the movie X-Men. It's the character in X-Men.
That's
And
where I thought it came from. I didn't know it also had a tie-in to the way that your name was actually said that way. So that's interesting.
yeah, and actually it's very cool, so easy to remember me.
Yeah, I did, and it worked for me. I mean, there's not many people these days that call themselves Juggernaut. They call themselves a lot of things, but certainly not a hero from the X-Men. So that works.
Mm-hmm.
So if people want to find out more about you or want to track what kind of work you do and what you're going to be doing in 2019, where should they go online?
Maybe my LinkedIn or my blog or my Facebook, but usually I post the articles in Chinese in my Facebook.
Okay. Well, hey, we got translators for that. So if we don't understand the native language, we can always figure it out. But we'll link to all those in the show notes and should be set. Okay, Juggernaut, I really appreciate your time today. Thanks a lot for coming on, and we'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for having this opportunity to let me on. Very, very interesting to talk to you.
Thanks again for listening to the Dallas Design Sprints podcast. If you have a question or comment about what you heard on today's show, email me direct at robert@dallasdesignsprints.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. Just do a Google search for Robert Scrobe or ask a friend and see if they know. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time.